I see this crowd fighting over a blender at Saks? You sound in a good mood tonight. There's going to be another goodie, I think. See, I hate to talk about audiences who were here last night, because they may go home and watch the show. And then they'll say, we weren't that bad. But last night, we had an audience that had a kind of a sick sense of humor. They would, kind of group that would give an orphan 2 batteries for Christmas with a note that's saying, toys not included. And they were not too bright. Would you say that they were a little dumb last night? They thought the 3 wise men were the shell answer man, Mr. Goodwrench, and Robert Young. How many of you have made New Year's Eve plans? Anybody? Okay. You don't have to go any further than downtown Burbank. They have some exciting things to do. You don't believe a word of this, do you? No. Now, here in Burbank, at the stroke of midnight, everyone gathers around and watches the mayor of Burbank drop a ring-ding off the roof of the 7-Eleven store. When it hits the ground, it's midnight. I was very domestic last night. I actually decorated a Christmas tree. No, no, we don't send out. We do that ourselves. Sure. Then I stenciled the window with Noel, Noel. And I had the stencil backwards, and it came out to Leon, Leon. Now, you laugh when I said I decorated the tree, like I don't do those things.
I thought you had a man that didn't.
No. Now, look, just because I'm a, well, I hate to say it, a celebrity. I hate that word. A star. Let's make it star.
Big star.
I do chores around the house just like anybody else.
Oh.
This morning, for example, I got up, took out the garbage. What? That's right. Walked the dog and peeled 6 tourists off my electric fence.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, Apollo Wednesday, December the 17th, and this is The True Conservative. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. So today, after the Serenity Prayer and the patriotic song of the day, we'll have Varney and Company, motivation, meditation, and Apollo. All that and more when I get back. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I should not change, the courage to change the things I should, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Thank you. And now, Varney and Company.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Thank
Christmas.
you for being here. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow. Varney and Company picks it up. Stu, take it away.
Merry Christmas to one and all. Good morning, Maria, and good morning, everyone. This is going to be a very big day. Major announcements about Venezuela, an extended travel ban, a presidential address to the nation, and yes, the markets are rallying. Let's start with Venezuela. President Trump has announced a total and complete blockade of sanctioned oil tankers going to and from Venezuela. This would take away dictator Maduro's oil revenue, and it would hurt Cuba, which takes Venezuelan oil, sells some of it to China in exchange for much-needed foreign currency. Cut that off. The president says the blockade will continue until Venezuela returns all the oil, land, and other assets that they previously stole from us. Sounds like America will take control of Venezuela's oil reserves, which are the largest in the world. Now, the travel ban. Trump has extended it to 20 more countries, including the Palestinian Authority. This is to limit entry of potential terrorists, like the Afghan who allegedly killed 2 National Guard troops over the Thanksgiving weekend. And tonight, 9 Eastern, the president will address the nation from the White House. We are told it will outline the successes of the last 11 months, and as the president says, the best is yet to come. They talk about that. It'll be a campaign speech 11 months before the midterms. Let's get to the markets. I see some green this morning. The Dow Industrial is up about 120. NASDAQ up about 94 points. Bitcoin, we're quoting it now at 87,600. Oil, it's moving up just a little, $56 a barrel after the news of the Venezuelan blockade. 56.14, up just to 1%, 1.5%. Gas, no change, holding steady at an average of $2.90 for regular nationwide. The 10-year Treasury, the yield there is 4.16. The 2-year Treasury, the yield there is about 3.5%, exactly 3.5%. Gold, $4,376 an ounce. On the show today, Tesla. A judge in California says Tesla engaged in deceptive marketing practices regarding its autopilot and full self-driving systems. The company faces a 30-day suspension of its license to sell. The stock is down about what? I can't read it. 1/3 of 1%. That's it. That's all it's down. We're going to bring you an expert on travel etiquette. How to be nice when your flight is delayed. Plus, Varney's rules for flying. Take the first flight out. Never check bags, always take a direct flight, and preferably travel alone. It is Wednesday, December the 7th. They're not laughing here. It's Wednesday, December 17th, 2025.
And that was Varney and Company, Non-Profit News Now. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now, a little bit of John Kobylt from his podcast.
Every day from 1 until 4 o'clock. And we've got the Moist Line on Friday at 3:20 and 3:50. You call the Moist Line and unleash all your anger and fury and frustration. 877-MOIST-86, 877-MOIST-86. Or use the talkback feature on the iHeart Radio app. I am just calculating up here, as I like to do at least every few days. Just how many states have gas? That's amazing. How many states have cheap gas? Do you know the national average for gas prices is now $2.90? $2.90 is the average. The lowest price is Oklahoma at $2.30. $2.30. And I paid, what did I pay? I paid $4.39 or maybe $4.49 this week. California is at average of $4.35 a gallon. $4.35. Oklahoma $2.30, and the average is $2.90. That's just I say this every day. Now, other states, even a high tax state like New York, it's only $3.09. If you look at similar states politically, New Jersey, $2.91. Illinois is $3.03. Hey, look at Florida, it's at $2.88. So whether it's a state with California-like politics or a state with California-like size or close to it, let's go, where's Texas? Texas is $2.51. $2.51. And we're paying $4.35. And this is really taking a toll on the economy. And Katie Grimes at the California Globe published a long story today counting all the different ways that the state is failing. Now, we have by far the worst gas prices in the continental United States. I just can't get over that people in Oklahoma are pulling up. And that's the average. Oh, I had to check those Denver pumps. Because Denver, there were at least 10 gas stations in Denver that were selling last week between $1.69 and $1.77 in the Denver metro area. All right, which is, helped crush this economy in California. And these are Gavin Newsom's decisions. There's nobody else to blame here. California's unemployment rate, 5.6%, highest unemployment rate among all states, 5.6. Florida, 3.9. Now,
okay, we get the point with this. He goes on and on and on because he's trying to fill airtime. But anyways, the point here for him is, again, he misses the mark. He's preaching to the choir, the First Church of John Kobylt. But the problem is, all the people in the First Church of John Kobylt know what the prices are. They know that California were paying way more than everybody else, and the left in this state, the Democrats, they don't care. So he's wasting his time. He's speaking to a very small minority of people in the country or in the state. He needs the Democrats if he wants to be effective. If he wants his his everyday his work to be worth something, to pay off, he needs to be effective. In order to do that, he's got to talk to the Democrats and explain to them why higher gas prices are a bad idea for them. Or he can do it this way: is say, okay, we're paying twice as much for gasoline. That includes Democrats, by the way. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, all paying more for gas. What do we have to show for it? Because Democrats want gas prices to go up and up and up and up. They'd love to see $8 a gallon gas because they believe then everybody else just automatically switch to everyone will be forced to switch to electric vehicles. And that's the plan. Well, where is it? Where are electric vehicle sales? They're in the toilet. They've gone down the drain. What about climate change? What's the carbon dioxide picture lately? We got all this emphasis on trying to basically drive gas people out of business, and yet there's no change in the climate change picture. We're still looking at global extinction in 10 years, by 2035. These are the kinds of things that John Kobylt should be talking about. This is what he should be saying. He should be blaming it on Gavin Newsom, blaming it on the Mayor Bass, because again, people are policy. You want to get rid of the policies, get rid of the people. If he wants to be more influential, he loves to have people on his show that he can interview, particularly big shots, and this would be his opportunity to do so. You start talking to the Democrats, and then the candidates start to sweat because they don't want to lose their base. So then they have to come on John's show and explain themselves. And that's where he starts to become effective. So again, there's another example by John Kobylt of him missing the whole idea, missing the picture here, and preaching to the converted when he should be talking to Democrats. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, Candice.
J'ai des réflexions à droite à gauche. Chaque fois, on me disant, ouais, quand je comprends pas, Celui-là, il n'est pas juif, pourquoi tu le défends? Dites-moi, quand le petit bébé, là, on a dû lever 53 000 € pour qu'il soit sauvé, hein? Je me suis pas posé la question, il n'est pas juif, donc je vais le laisser, pas du tout. Il était musulman, il aurait été une autre religion, j'aurais fait la même chose pour lui. Pourquoi? Parce que je veux être bien au jugement dernier. Je veux pas que Dieu me dise qu'est-ce que tu as fait, celui-là t'a donné une opportunité de le sauver, comment tu as fait, tu n'as pas fait. Non. Parce que l'important, c'est le jugement dernier, du matin au soir. Regardez ma mère, par exemple. Elle a mis avec tout le monde, quelle que soit la religion. Toutes ses copines de Tunis, elle l'appelle toute la journée, elle lui dit j'adore ta fille et compagnie. Ma mère, elle est fière. Vous croyez que je vais mettre une croix sur quelqu'un qui est musulman ou chrétien pour faire plaisir? Pas du tout. Celui qui m'aime, je l'aime. Celui qui m'aime pas, il va se faire foutre. C'est pas compliqué, quelle que soit la religion, bien sûr. Donc moi, je réagis comme ma mère m'a élevée. Elle continue à être amie avec tout le monde, qui l'adore, et c'est comme ça et c'est tout. C'est un...
And that was Candice. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now a little bit of motivation.
What gets you out of bed? What gets you off the couch? What gets you in the gym? It's not your alarm. It's not your parents. It's not your friends. It's you. The only one that can make it happen for you is you.
It's really hard to be led by your butt. But I'm not qualified. But I'm not good enough. But I'm not smart enough. But I didn't go to the right school. But I don't have enough money. But. If you're ever going to step into your future, if you're ever going to step into your destiny, you're going to have to get over your butt.
And that's what a pity party is when you have an undisciplined mind and you meditate on the wrong thing over and over and over again. If you're going to throw a pity party, I'll give you 3 days and that's it. And after 3 days, you cut off your record player, your iPod, your MP3, and you come up with a plan.
Do I just sit there and settle? No, I don't. I say enough's enough, man, and I'm going to make a change, and I'm going to keep going until I get it. You chase something that you believe you deserve until you get it. And it doesn't matter what happens to you. It doesn't matter how many times you've been fired. It doesn't matter how many people don't believe in you. Just go until you get it. That's the point. Are you tired yet? Some of you need to get tired. You need to be tired of what's going on in your life. Get tired of your habits. Get tired of the actions that you're putting in every day. You got to change, man, or nothing changes.
I woke up one day and stopped making excuses. I woke up one day and looked at the man in the mirror and was like, yo, bro, what are you doing? Wake up. It's showtime. Let's go.
Don't be a wimpy person who's afraid of everything hard.
Do not take the easy way out.
You need to walk through the mud and life, guys. If you ever want to get to the higher ground. The higher ground is where you look in the mirror and you have respect and you run through the work and sweat equity at all. And the end product is something you can be proud of, a legacy of life that you put your signature to. That means something. You're not speaking hollow words. You're backing those motherfuckers up with action.
That's what lions do. Lions don't give up. Lions don't quit. Lions hunt. That's what we do for a living.
I still grind. I love to grind. If you're competing in one of my businesses, I'm going to kick your ass because I'm going to outgrind you.
You have to be willing to work in places people don't see.
While the other guy's sleeping, I'm working. While the other guy's eating, I'm working.
There's a motherfucker out there who wants what you have, who wants the position you are, who wants the job you have, who wants the wife that you have, or the husband. There's someone out there hungry and wants everything you can have. So make that a motivation for you.
This world ain't gonna give you what you deserve. This world will give you what you work for. I put that work in every single day. And when you wake up every single day and you put that work in, and yes, for some of us, it might be harder than others. Man, whatever. We do what it is we gotta do. Especially when we're desperate.
Winning's not loyal to you. It doesn't care about you. Winning doesn't care how sore you are. Winning doesn't care how much sleep you get. Winning doesn't care how hard you work at times. Winning requires all of you and then more, and it promises you nothing. It's a mastermind of creating fear and doubt in your mind. It causes setback after setback. So the question is about winning. Are you willing to sprint when the distance is unknown? And why chase this thing called winning? Because the only thing that's guaranteed in life, if you don't chase it, is losing.
Now is the time to grind. Now is the time to show the world that I was placed here for a purpose.
And that was a little bit of motivation. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now a little meditation.
Welcome or welcome back, beautiful souls. This is day 3 of our 31 days gratitude journey. 5 quiet minutes to honor the year that shaped you, softened you, strengthened you. Today, we bring our gratitude gently to the body, to your breath, your heart, your health, in whatever form it exists right now. Take a slow inhale and let this moment arrive. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Let the shoulders drop. Unclench the jaw. Soften the belly. And bring your awareness to the simple, steady miracle of your breath. In and out. Quiet, constant, faithful. Your breath has walked with you through every moment of this entire year, without ever asking for thanks. Now, gently, turn your attention to your body. This body that woke up with you every morning. This body that held your emotions, your memories, your stress, your joy. This body that carried you through tired days and still found the strength to keep going. Think of one thing your body did for you this year. Maybe it healed. Maybe it endured. Maybe it rested when you needed rest. Maybe it allowed you to hug someone you love. Maybe it simply kept you alive. Let gratitude rise, not forced, not perfect, just honest. Whisper inward, thank you. Thank you for carrying me through another year. Let your awareness scan slowly from head to toe. Soft gratitude washing over each part. Your eyes for everything they allowed you to witness. Your hands for everything they touched, held, created. Your legs for every step, every errand. Every journey, every moment of movement. Your heart beating quietly, faithfully, keeping you here. Take a breath in. Let gratitude expand just a little more, like a warm light filling your whole body. For the next few breaths, just stay here. Let the gratitude settle in your chest, your shoulders, your belly, your hands. If your body is still healing, if there are parts that ache, parts you wish were different, offer them gentleness too. Gratitude is not about perfection. It is about honoring what has carried you, even when it wasn't easy. Inhale softness. Exhale exhale appreciation. And now, bring one memory from this year to mind. A moment when your body supported you, protected you, surprised you, or allowed you to experience something meaningful. Hold that moment gently. Let it rest in your heart. When you are ready, gently open your eyes. Write about the moment in detail in your journal. You may pause here to write, or continue with the journaling music linked in the description whenever you're ready. Thank you for being here today, for honoring your health, your body, your life. I'll see you tomorrow for day 4.
And that was a little bit of meditation. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now the Jeffrey Mead.
LA Public Schools. Think about what I'm about to say here. They have lost 26% of their students since 2014. 1 out of every 4 students in LA Public Schools are gone since 2014. Yet at the same time, LA Public Schools, the great capital allocators, they've increased their staffing by 19%. So 1 out of 4 students are no longer in the school district, but they increased staffing by 19%.
I mean, look at that chart. It's pretty wild. Number of students going down, number of staff members going up. And the first question you have might be, well, was it initially understaffed to begin with? No, they weren't understaffed to begin with. So looking at the staffing trends, the district's overall staffing growth included a 19 to 21% increase in total employees since 2012 to 2014, and this was largely non-teaching roles. So this is stuff like instructional aides, counselors, social workers, administrators. They've added over 17,000 of those positions, despite having fewer students. Spending per student rose over 200 or around 229% over that same period of time. This period of time is from essentially 2012 until now. It rose from $19,944 to around $45,703. And this was driven by higher staffing costs, salary increases, and reluctance to consolidate schools or reduce positions proportionally. And this has led to underutilized facilities, around 160,000 empty seats, and a projected $1.3 billion deficit by 2028. I mean, I think this is quite symbolic of Democrats. They like large, bloated, inefficient governments. They like large, bloated, inefficient organizations. For example, let's make a comparison. Let's, for the sake of argument, look at 2 Democrat powerhouse states and 2 Republican powerhouse states. We're going to go California and New York for Democrats, and we're going to go Texas and Florida for Republicans. California and New York both run deficits right now. They're running deficits. Florida and Texas are not running deficits right now. So what you can get from Democrats is essentially, hey, we're going to take more of your money, and we're going to be less efficient with your hard-earned money. I'm not interested in signing up for that class. Democrats like to regulate the crap out of you. They like to tax the crap out of you, and then they're inefficient with all the money they take from you, is what it is. Also, don't forget about my newsletter. I send it out every morning. The link's in my profile. Once you click the link, you'll see a screen like this. Just drop your email in, hit subscribe, and you'll be good to go. Anyway.
And that was the Jeffrey Mead on Instagram. Back in a minute. Thank you. So in response to Mr. Jeffrey Mead, I wanted to say that it was excellent, but it was typical and typically Republican/conservative in that he had a mastery of the facts and he was very good at explaining. But the problem is he, like John Kobylt, is preaching to the choir. He's talking to fellow Republicans. He's basically telling fellow Republicans why they shouldn't vote Democrat. Well, guess what? They're not going to vote Democrat. All the people that are willing to listen to and subscribe to Jeffrey Mead's account are not going to be voting Democrat. So he needs to be able to communicate to Democrats if he wants to see changes in especially Democrat states like California and New York. So in this particular case, it's fairly easy. You talk to Democrats and say, look, there's all kinds of things you want, like single-payer health care, and they're expensive. Single-payer health care is going to be trillions of dollars, and you should be upset when school districts are wasting money, are taking money that could be going to pay for single-payer health care and are instead being used to hire unnecessary staff. Okay, now you're getting somewhere. Again, because you got in California and New York, you got to have Democrats on board for change. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. But other than that, it was a great presentation. But again, he's preaching to the choir. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now a breaking news, Fox News on a Supreme Court ruling.
Interrupt you. I'm sorry for the interruption, but Shannon has some information for us. Let's go to you, Shannon Bream. You're there with that case?
Okay, yes. So this is at least a partial, if not a full, and we're reading this because there are several concurrences here, but it's written by Justice Barrett, which goes against the ruling that I just gave the guidance because she's one of the least junior justices, but she was assigned to write this opinion. And essentially what she says, some say that the universal injunctions give the judiciary a powerful tool to check the executive branch, but she says federal courts do not exercise general oversight of the executive branch. They resolve cases and controversies consistent with the authority Congress has given to them. When a court concludes the executive branch has acted unlawfully, the answer is not for the court to exceed its power, sounding very much like they are limiting these injunctions. We know here that they have granted at least partially the stay to these preliminary injunctions, but they say only to the extent that the injunctions are broader than necessary to provide complete relief to each plaintiff with standing to sue. They say the lower courts have to move expeditiously with respect to each of these plaintiffs. It says the injunctions are also stayed to the extent that they prohibit executive agencies from developing and issuing public guidance about the executive plans to implement the executive order. If you remember, part of this executive order on birthright citizenship, the stay was that the agencies that would be responsible for actually implementing the change with birthright citizenship, those agencies couldn't even start making a plan. So that part of it is lifted as well. We do see that the dissent here comes from the three justices you expect. It looks like Justice Sotomayor filed the dissent. Kagan and Jackson joined that. Justice Jackson also filed a dissenting opinion, but there are a lot of concurrences here. Justice Thomas, Justice Alito, there are others. So we'll parse through this, but at its first blush, it looks like this is a win in putting a limit on these nationwide injunctions. We'll see how far those limits go as we dig back through this.
And chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chiroo. We have the Supreme Court and they say, screw you. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now, this is a clip on Instagram from an All in the Family episode, and it's a discussion between Archie Bunker and Michael Stivic.
Anything interesting in the paper?
Yeah, 200 arrested at Vietnam Day peace demonstration. 200. They should have thrown a whole bunch of them in the can. Look at that picture there. Here they are, throwing all kinds of junk and deepers at officers of the law. desecrating on the American flag?
Well, I think they just don't like the idea of America fighting an illegal and immoral war.
Well, if they don't like it, they can lump it. Take it down the road and dump it.
What are you saying America love it or leave it?
That's right. It's a free country, so amscray.
Well, that would include me too, Mr. Bunker.
Then toodly you to you too.
Well, what would our leaving solve? I mean, with or without protesters, this country would still have the same problems.
What problems?
Well, it's the war, the racial problem, the economic problem, the pollution problem.
Oh, come on, if you want to nitpick.
Nitpick? Let me tell you something, Mr. Bunker.
No, let me tell you something, Mr. Stivic. You are a meathead. And meathead, dead from the neck up. Meat.
And there you go. Now, the nice thing about this exchange is that Archie Bunker is demonstrating to all conservatives how it's done. Okay? First of all, Mr. Stivic goes ahead and baits Archie Bunker. That's the typical left-wing liberal tactic. Gee, is there anything interesting in the paper today? It sounds very innocuous until he starts to punish you. What? Are you saying this country, love it or leave it? That kind of thing. So then that's the way Democrats handle it. Most Republicans / conservatives are going to back down. They're going to start making excuses. Oh, no, but I didn't mean that. You're going to get that kind of crap. Archie Bunker, the character Archie Bunker, goes straight ahead. That's right, buddy. Amscray. Hit the bricks. Lump it and all that good. Everything that he said was spot on. You keep pushing it, putting it right back in their face. He comes back and he says, well, that would include me too. Well, see you later. He's not intimidated because what the Michael Stivic character is trying to do is intimidate the Archie Bunker character. And the Archie Bunker character is having none of it. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, Apollo.
3. When Apollo 11's Eagle had landed on the Sea of Tranquility 4 months earlier, no one knew at first where it was. We were all scrunched around trying to figure out where the hell it was, Tyndall recalled. Kraft was there, and Sam Phillips was there, and they were talking to the scientists in the back room, trying to pick up clues from Armstrong and Aldrin's description of the terrain. It was a comedy. Phillips turned to Tyndall, whose mission techniques determined the landing procedures. On the next mission, Phillips said firmly, I want a pinpoint landing. So help me God, Tyndall recalled. That's what he said. I thought it was impossible. Tyndall convened his lunar landing group. The task looked impossible because the moon had proved to be unmanageably lumpy in a gravitational sense. Mass-cons, uneven concentrations of the lunar mass, constantly introduced unexpected deviations into the Apollo lunar orbits. Their effects were too complex to be fully modeled. After they had wrestled with the problem for a few meetings and rejected a few unworkable ideas, Emil Schieser, a soft-spoken, intense young man who was one of MPAD's experts on deep space navigation, had an inspiration. Schieser pointed out that as the spacecraft came out from behind the moon, it was heading toward the tracking stations on Earth. And as everyone knew, this created a Doppler effect that was used for tracking the vehicle. The Doppler effect is the apparent change in the frequency of a light, sound, or radio wave as its source approaches or recedes, as in the changing pitch of the sound of a train as it approaches and then moves away. As the LEM continued on its circular orbit, it was no longer approaching the Earth's tracking stations, but was moving at an increasing angle relative to them until, as the LEM headed back around the moon again, it was moving directly away from the Earth. During its entire period, measurements of the LEM's Doppler effect from the Earth showed a predictable pattern. Now came Schieser's imaginative leap. Suppose that we forget about trying to model perfectly the effects of the mass-cons, he suggested, and concentrate instead on modeling what the shifts in frequency should look like during the course of a landing at point X, from the time that the LEM appears around the edge of the moon until touchdown. With this predicted pattern of frequencies in front of us, we can watch what the actual frequencies are and calculate the difference. Then we can use the difference between the predicted and the actual frequencies to decide how far off target we are. It was, Tyndall reflected, astounding, simple and obvious after you heard it, as elegant solutions seem always to be. No matter what the source of navigation errors, firing of the RCS thrusters or an imprecise burn, Schieser had given them a way to determine precisely how much they needed to change the planned course of a descending LEM. Now what they needed was a way for the LEM to use that information to achieve the pinpoint landing that Phillips wanted. One option was to update the state vector in the onboard computer, the information required to compute the vehicle's precise position and velocity. But a state vector is expressed in 7 pieces of information, and asking the lunar module pilot to input 7 new numerical nouns, each of them about 8 digits long, during the middle of a lunar landing was far too unwieldy. The group came up with an alternative. I didn't, of course, Tyndall said quickly. I never did anything. I just got the people together to do these things. Don't try to tell the LEM where it really is, went this bright idea. Just tell it that the landing site has moved. If they found that the LEM was coming down 800 feet short of the landing site, they would tell the computer to land 800 feet farther down range than it had planned. To implement this procedure required only one number. Noun 69, they decided to call this piece of crucial targeting data. MPAD's mathematicians went off to model the Doppler readings they needed for Apollo 12's target. The computer people went off to modify the onboard computer software. The flight operations people went off to devise crew procedures and begin simulations. Elegant as Schieser's procedure was in theory, it was far from simple to put into practice. The Earth did not stand still while the tracking stations measured the Doppler effect. It rotated, and the effect of the Earth's rotation had to be taken into account. The tracking stations handed off from one to another as they rotated out of position, and each of them was at a different latitude. The effects of the angle at which they received the signals from the LEM had to be incorporated. The time measurements had to be so precise that only a nuclear clock was sufficiently accurate. And all of these changes had to be completed and practiced during the interval between the July landing of Apollo 11 and the November launch of Apollo 12. At the Mission Techniques meeting, Fido Dave Reed, who would be handling the lunar descent for 12, talked with Pete Conrad about the target strategy. Conrad was supposed to land his LEM close enough to Surveyor 3, an unmanned probe that had soft-landed on the moon 3 years earlier, to enable him and Al Bean to walk over to it and bring pieces back with them. The object was to obtain information about the effects of exposure to the lunar environment over a period of years. Since Apollo 12 did not have a battery-driven lunar rover, which would not be available until Apollo 15, the maximum landing error that would still permit Conrad to reach the Surveyor was on the order of 2,000 feet. Even if the navigation on 12 was markedly improved, it seemed implausible that they could get that close on the second manned landing. Armstrong had been more than 4 miles off target. So the conversations between Reed and Conrad had an air of unreality about them. "Where do you want me to put you down?" Reed asked Conrad. The first time, Conrad told Reed to put him on the far side of the crater in which Surveyor would be resting. They ran a couple of simulations that way, with Conrad in the LEM simulator watching an image of Houston's plaster of Paris lunar surface as he came in over a configuration of 3 craters they called Snowman, which would tell him he was on the right track. Then one day, Conrad told Reed he didn't want to walk that far. "Put me on the near edge of the crater," Conrad said. So Reed changed the parameters in the software. Watching Reed calculate these minute changes, apparently, in all seriousness, the crater itself was only 600 feet across, Conrad finally told Reed, "You can't hit it anyhow. Target me for the Surveyor." "You got it, babe," Reed said, and he proceeded to enter coordinates that would land the LEM precisely on top of the Surveyor if Schieser's bright idea worked. At midnight Houston time, November 18th, 4 days after Yankee Clipper's encounter with lightning, Emil Schieser stood behind 2 Martin contractor personnel at their consoles in a corner of the first floor of the control center near the computers. As the LEM Intrepid appeared on the edge of the moon, The screens began to fill with the tracking data they had been waiting for. The three of them began filling out their cheat sheets, more formally known as procedures sheets. They looked something like tax forms, copying numbers from the screen. Then, as Conrad and Bean streaked across the face of the moon under powered descent, the three of them began figuring out the value for Noun 69 by hand. The control center's computers didn't know how to do something as simple as multiply two numbers, Schieser said, and they hadn't bothered to bring in a mechanical calculator. They scratched out their calculations, passed the number to the trench, who gave it to Flight, who told Capcom to transmit it to the crew. As Intrepid descended through 7,000 feet toward the lunar surface, it pitched to an upright position, and Pete Conrad and Al Bean got their first look at the approach to the landing site. In front of them, right where it was supposed to be, was Snowman. "Hey, there it is," announced Conrad. "Son of a gun, right down the middle of the road." They had a chance, at least, of getting close to the surveyor. As the LEM continued past Snowman, Conrad began to realize just how close they were going to come. "Hey, Intrepid, started right for the middle of the crater," he cried. "Look out there. I just can't believe it. Amazing, fantastic." Dave Reed had still been a little off. Intrepid wouldn't have actually landed on top of Surveyor if Conrad had let it alone. It would have been perhaps as much as 150 feet away. That was close enough to shower the Surveyor with dust. Too close. Conrad took manual control, steering the LEM across the crater to a safe distance, on the far rim after all. A few years later, after the four LEMs following Intrepid had each descended to within a few yards of their targets, Neil Armstrong was giving an interview to a historian of the manned space program. The interviewer, thinking of astronauts and senior managers, asked Armstrong, after all the years he had spent at MSC, who did he think stood out in talent and ability? Neil Armstrong grinned. "Emil Schieser," he replied. "I'd vote for Emil every time."
And that was Chapter 26, Section 3 of Apollo by Charles Murray and Catherine Bly Cox. Back in a minute. Thank you. This is Ron, your host, the only true conservative in the United States today, bidding adios to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there, and reminding you that you're not neutral and that the government has no rights.